Good morning, everybody. Today is our January 2018 FWM webinar, and I'm super excited to have my special guest and great friend for many, many, many years, Ben Glass.
Good to be here, man.
Now, this is connected, because we have the same clothes on, to our Tom Talks that we just finished, that if you didn't hear the
10-minute Tom Talk
right?
that went 21.
Right. That's kind of the setup for this, because we talked about the mistakes that we see that lawyers make and continue to make, but that they made in 2017. And this talk is about what you think they need to be doing in 2018. Yeah. Now, let me just say something.
Which is kind of a typical thing you would do in a January webinar,
exactly.
Right?
We're like,
hey, write your goals down. Okay.
No, this is not a goal session, right? We're not going to do that. But I would like to say this, because I've known this man for many, many years, and I've never quite seen him at this point where you are so balanced and so kind of happy in all of your places.
It's
and
awesome.
You got a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on, yeah.
All the kids and, all the stuff that they're doing, running two businesses. GLM and Ben Glass Hall are about to expand to a big training facility down the street. I know you're excited about that. You're turning 60 years old. You're doing CrossFit.
CrossFit, yeah, that's the thing.
I mean,
5 o'clock every morning, 5 days a week.
That's some cool stuff. I mean, you've always been an overachiever, but I've never quite seen you this happy about it. So good job.
We came off 2 weeks of over Christmas break. Did a lot of reading and just doodling and stuff like that. So
just doodling.
We're good.
And we're going to benefit from your doodling.
Doodling, right.
So this is what we're talking about, because everybody wants to be like Ben Glass. And I talk to people all the time that talk to you, and they're like, I want to be like Ben Glass. How can you make me like Ben Glass? And so maybe we can learn a little bit about how to be more like you in this webinar.
Yeah, or maybe just be more true to yourself. So I would start here. I would start with, hey, let's be glad we're not them, right? So I met a guy the other day, 30-year-old lawyer, worked, and I won't name the firm, but worked for one of these big giant firms in New York. He worked in the DC office, New York firm, worldwide brand recognition. So 30 years old, making $185,000, which is good money for a 30-year-old, right? But he developed some medical issues so he couldn't work really on a full-time basis for that firm. So he went to the firm and he said, I want some accommodations. I would like some accommodations due to my illness. And the accommodation he asked for was, I'd like to reduce my hours to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. I said, what? I said, what's normal? And the firm said, we don't have that position. So think about that. 30 years old, probably with a mountain of debt, unless he's paid it down now since he's been out of law school. Working in an environment where a disability accommodation would be you're there 6 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, right? And they don't have it. And I said to the guy, there's a lot easier ways to make $185,000. And he kind of challenged me. He said, that's impossible.
Right.
I go, I ain't working
right.
10 hours a day, 6 days a week. I just built these businesses, right, that fulfill that need, and I'm really happy. And he hated every minute of it. So no matter where you are in your practice, I doubt there's anybody who's watching this today who is working, I hope, 10 hours a day. I hope not. 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. And being a real slave to something else.
Well, if you are, you don't have to be. That's the point.
Well, this guy didn't know. He had never been introduced to a different pathway to a life worth living. So wherever, his undergrad took him to, I didn't ask him, but probably some fancy law school where all they were trying to do is get into these big firms where they sell their soul to the devil. Sorry if I, piss somebody off about that. I don't care. And slave away. And he made money, but he hated it, number one, and he had no life, number two. So,
but would you say that some people do enjoy that life? I mean,
I don't know anybody. Honestly, God, I don't know anybody who enjoys that life. I'll tell you another thing. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal last summer where big firms like this were bringing in psychologists to deal with the depression and the unhappiness level of their associates, 30-year-old guys who are working more than, I guess, 10 hours a day, 6 days a week. So these firms were bringing in psychologists and paying them a bunch of money. You know what the number one recommendation was to the young lawyers?
More yoga.
No, Ben, what was it? Well, yoga. All right. No, it was turn your cell phone off between 4 and 6 in the morning. Can you believe that? I have the article. They paid this guy to make that recommendation. Well, we can make some better recommendations to how to have a life. And so this is how I think that people need to think about this. And so first you do kind of a self-assessment. And we're going to talk about, on the one hand, some mature practices, what I call elite practices. I think mine is one. Most of the members of my mastermind group have them. You know, a lot of lawyers have elite practices. These things run. The lawyers are happy. The lawyers are taking extended vacations. They're not doing the legal work so much anymore. But there's still things that they can do. Then you have the lawyers for whom leads is not a problem. So getting leads and having the potential to get cases is not a problem. But what they are doing, we call them sort of the intermediate, right? Intermediate type law firms. But there's things that they should be doing in order to get to the elite level. And then there's I'm not quite there yet. So there's a lot of lawyers that come into our world who are still wanting to figure out how do I get more cases? How do I get more?
So you kind of live like 3 levels.
Absolutely.
These guys. So when you say elite, though, I'm like, okay, well, elite. Obviously, these guys have got their stuff together. Yeah. Is it like Jim Dotson? These guys have, Chuck Boyd,
Beckham. I mean, there's a lot of them.
Right. That's not to say that they're not trouble-free. That's not to say that they don't have challenges or problems like everybody else, right?
Right. But what are they doing differently now? What are they doing? Well, they've got their practices to the level where they are getting out of the way.
Right.
They are letting their fantastic teams that they built at the intermediate level and their fantastic systems do this work for them so they can be CEO, so they can be coach of the team, inspirational leader of the team. And a lot of lawyers will never get to that place because they think, I have to be the guy, the gal. I got to be trying all the cases, meeting all the clients, doing all the interrogatories. And our answer to that is no, you don't. In fact, when you build a team and systems that help that team get stuff done, you will actually serve more people better. If you spend all of your time kind of thinking about the top 2 or 3 cases in your office, thinking about the strategy, thinking about the marketing, thinking about other stuff we're going to talk about, your firm actually makes more money, serves more people, and delivers higher quality legal services than if it is a chaotic firm. So that's what these guys and gals are working on. And I've worked with so many now at that level where at one point they'll say, that's not the way I want to practice, or nobody could do it as well as I could, or I can never just vision myself being there. And I can only tell you, Tom, that those guys and gals who get to that point are enjoying life more. They are the CEOs of firms that produce wealth and security for their families, produce wealth and security for all their employees, and produce great results for their clients. So that's like top level. What these guys and gals are spending their time on is really learning how to quiet the brain, quiet the chaos. Again, not paying attention.
They're not working 10-hour days. Yeah. They are not working 6 days a week. They're balanced lives. They are doing the other things that make them happy. And they've become very ruthless about not letting the noise in, whether it's from vendors, whether it's just opening your cell phone and looking at all your Twitter and all your Facebook and all whatever else there is first thing in the morning, which does nothing but create chaos really for your brain. They exercise, they pay attention to their nutrition, they pay attention to their relationships with their families and stuff. They pay attention to how they respond to adversity, all these things. And some people will say, well, I can never envision myself even deserving that. You do. You have a one-way path through life, and the quicker you can get to that place, the more
the more you will enjoy this. So I'm, again, turning 60 next month in February. I just signed a new 10-year lease on space. I'm looking at, what does this whole deal look like at 70, at 80, at 85, 90? I mean, not to say I'll necessarily be in the office, but I like what I'm doing. I like all the aspects of my life right now. And it is, balance actually isn't the right word. It's, if I'm here, it's hard work and it's focus. So if it's athletics, it's focus. If it's refereeing, it's focus. If it's marketing, it's focus. I don't know if it's all in balance, but they all get their time in the stage.
Well, I've known you when it's not been in balance.
It has. Oh, yeah, sure.
I mean,
You're
like
pulling your
me
hair
too,
out,
right?
Yeah.
I mean, like we've been, and it's just, it's. So how do you get somebody from like I just can't see myself?
Well, that's just most who can't see themselves in that position. The reason is because there's so much chaos and broken stuff in their lives and their practices right now that they just don't even have time to think, all right? So that's really, let's just talk for a few minutes about someone who's at that intermediate level. In other words, leads aren't a problem. Like leads are not, we convert 3% of the leads that come to us. People say, well, that's horrible. Well, no, that's good. It means we generate a crap load of leads. We only want cases that we want, right? We have a very clear criteria for what we want to take. And what we really want at Ben Glass Law is to have first crack at the cases that we want. Okay, so we're talking about intermediate level. Again, we'll get to leads, but these lawyers and law firms don't have a problem getting leads. What they are working on, a couple of things. One, their team. So they're always asking themselves, do I have the right people on the bus sitting in the right seats? And they're constantly evaluating that. And frankly, they're always looking at the bottom 20% and saying, who can I get to replace you? Which is ruthless, all right? But you want people who are going to be superstars for you. And if they're not going to be superstars for you, they can go be a superstar for somebody else. But they don't keep Mary in the office for 25 years just because Mary has always been there for 25 years. They're looking to get elite performance out of their team. Just like, okay, so we're in the NFL playoffs. I mean, I'm not a huge football fan and stuff, but those teams that have survived to the playoffs are the teams that they're good all the way through the 50 or 52 player roster. They're healthy, deep, various skill sets. And
Or
they get rid of them.
changes.
They've made changes, right.
They needed to do, right.
So when you're at this intermediate level, looking around constantly and saying, do I have the best people here? And again, so a secret, a deep dark secret of this is hire people who are smarter than you are. Hire people who do stuff better than you are, right? And that's a mindset thing because a lot of people, lawyers, in their ego, I don't want to, what if I hire an associate and he's better than I am? He might just get really good and leave.
Can I insert a pitch for Jay Henderson here on this?
Sure.
So Jay's really good at realtalenthiring.com to help you hire the right people for you. Yeah. So that's one of the things, because we're talking about hiring people, but just not anybody. And that's the point, is that no one's ever permanent. The only permanent person is at Ben Glass Law is Ben Glass. Right. And maybe Sandy doesn't even believe that's true. We all know who's running the show. But it's true. It's you're the name.
Yes. And so, always looking at how can I make that team better? And so then the second thing that they're working on, once they have that good team, is culture. So if I have said recently, and I believe this to be true, that everybody who works for me would actually take a bullet for me. They are totally aligned with what we do. They're totally aligned with the Ben Glass way of doing it. And the reason, importantly, the reason why we do things the way we do. And that's deliberate, because we don't just get people in who are good at being a paralegal and say, go be a paralegal. No. We teach them our way. We teach them the reason why we do it. Right now we're going through a course with all of my team members on 7 Habits, right? Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. So we're always in a training and coaching mode, because I need to know that while I'm here doing this, shooting this webinar with you and having lunch with you, that if I picked up the phone and listened in, or if I watched with the video camera of what's going on in my office, that I have no hesitation that they are doing what they need to be doing, and they're upholding the brand, and they're treating clients and prospects with Apple-like excellence, right? That doesn't happen by accident. That happens by getting good people and then constantly training them. We do things, you listen on the phone calls. It's the simple stuff that we teach.
Yes.
All right.
And you do that very well, but it took you a while to get to that point.
Because there's so much. I mean,
Right?
There's so much to do. Like I tried to.
I remember like this person and that person, and I'm not recent, but you've pretty much got this down to a process of hiring people.
Well, and in large part because I don't do that hiring anymore. So
Right.
Charlie Mann does.
That's the point.
Charlie has been taught and trained by Jay Henderson and works closely with Jay. And Charlie is ruthless. I'm kind. I'm like, oh, you need a job? Come work for me, even though you have no skills. Charlie's ruthless. He's ruthless for me because he knows the culture that we're building. So the next thing that these folks at the intermediate level are doing is they're looking at all their operations. So law practices. So from the time someone comes in, so again, we'll come back to leads.
Here's another pitch real quick.
Yeah.
Don't you guys have a product that helps people hire right people?
We do. We have yes. I mean, Great Leader
pretty much
Marketing.
have like a
product
to
have
help
good stuff.
everything.
We have,
When we're talking about this, you've, and here's the point, is that you've been through it. You've been through hell. You've spent all the money. You've blown a lot of money on the wrong way to do it. You've spent a lot of good money on the right way to do it. And at this point, it's kind of a culmination of all that stuff where you really have...
It takes time.
Yeah, but you've gone through it, so they don't have to.
To the point you often make is that this is working. You got to be careful. So the analogy I'd make is when we only had 4 kids and a dog, right? Because we have 9 kids and two dogs. Right. 4 kids and a dog. I took up golf, right? Because I wanted to be able to play socially. There's so many things that have to go right. Like even if I can hit the ball straight down the fairway hard a long ways, there's still 18 other things you have to be really good at to get the ball in the hole within a certain number of strokes. That's the same way with running any business, the same way with running a law firm. But what these folks who are trying to get to the elite level are doing is they recognize that there's things I need to learn to do and there's things I need to do better. So we talked about getting the right people in the bus, in the right seats. We talked about culture. Next thing is operations, right? So looking at all the steps, so once someone's signed in as a client, all the steps of how we manage their case from beginning to end, does that all go seamlessly, right? I was just reading a book, Henry Ford, right? And he wasn't the only one working on cars, right? There was people that were creating cars before that, but he developed the conveyor belt.
Factory, right?
The factory. The system, right? So the system, the process, which then, candy manufacturers, food manufacturers, then took his idea, right? So lawyers don't like it. Well, I'm not a conveyor belt lawyer. I don't. You should be. You should be. See, all the little things that go into managing your client's case that don't involve your highest level brain thinking should be done right by a system that's being operated by great people. Right. Because you want to be able to deliver a consistent, high quality client experience. That's actually what they'll remember the most, right? How did the law firm make me feel? They're expecting a good result, but what was that whole process like?
Right, what was the process?
And unfortunately, for most lawyers, the client process is kind of horrible. I mean, this is why Avo, LegalZoom, this is why they're making inroads, because they figured out people, consumers, think dealing with lawyers sucks, right? They don't return my calls. I always got to ask them what's going on with my case. Sometimes they don't remember what my case is about. So Avo and LegalZoom, they fixed all that system, right? So they can deliver a certain high quality level of service to a certain level, right? So we're thinking, how do I make that better? And every time there's a breakdown in the process, you say, how can I make the system and the process better, whatever it is, getting discovery and getting medical records, so that anybody who we hire can come in and run that
Right.
process. But you can't just ignore this, because when you ignore systems and operational systems, it just creates stress. Clients start calling. What do they do when they call? They yell at your staff, right? What does your staff do? They cry.
And then,
and then you hear about it.
Mode. Reactive. Stress,
And they're going online to write bad things about you. Right. So right people on the bus, culture, operational systems, and then I think a thing that, I'm free to say, the thing is my least best skill is understanding money and understanding money flow and understanding where it's coming from, where it's going, and what all of that means. We had an off-camera conversation about that. But the elite lawyers, in order to get to the elite level, they figure this part out well. And so you go and you buy expertise, and you go and educate yourself more about that. But you can't ignore that. I've talked to too many lawyers who are good lawyers, have good marketing, have good people, good operations, but there's never any money around, right? Because they don't understand how the money is flowing in and how the money is flowing out.
Yes.
So that's the two. So we've talked elite, we talked intermediate level. So now let's talk where I think most lawyers are, if you look at it. They're at the I'm still trying to get there stage, which is I need more leads, which is really why they come to Great Legal Marketing, typically,
right,
why they come to Foster Web Marketing, and they want more cases. So if you're there, fine, we can help you there. We always start with looking at what you do and eliminating the bad stuff.
Right, you
the
got
bad
80/20,
spend.
right?
Oh
Yes,
my God,
right.
We
all do it.
I look at the lawyer listservs that I'm on. We were talking about marketing. What do you think about XYZ web company, or what about this TV advertising company that's going to sell me leads? You got to understand the basics of marketing, and you have to expect that for every dollar I send out, that dollar is going to bring back more than a dollar back to me. Right? So let's eliminate the bad spending stuff. Anything you can't track, let's just eliminate. Why are you running that ad? Why are you running an ad that has your picture on it and your headline says, Ben Glass and Associates? That's not the way we do advertising, right? Second thing is, we talked a little bit on the 21-minute, 10-minute Tom Talk, which is your differentiating message. What's your voice into the world? And the differentiating message that we teach is offering some sort of free information so that people will trade you their information for yours,
Right.
Come into your marketing funnel, do stuff like that. We always provide them a path if they want to come in for an appointment. But while most lawyers are shouting, I'm good, I'm aggressive, no fee if no win, we've been in business 487 combined years. While everyone else is shouting that message, you got to figure out what your different message is. And for most of us, what we've taught now for some 12 or 13 or 14 years, I forget, is that offer free information. So before, whatever your legal problem is, before you start making any decisions, we've got the cool book, the downloadable white paper, the CD that you can get for absolutely free to start a conversation. Lawyers who get that part figured out open up their funnel for new cases.
And doing that is not overly expensive.
Used to be. It used to be a lot harder to get a
Right.
book published, right?
Yeah,
When
but
we
now
started
it's a
doing
lot
this, it's easy.
It's a lot easier and a lot less expensive than stupidly buying a bunch of pay-per-click or buying leads. I mean, and you own that stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Right. So we
own it.
We often talk about building equity in your
Right.
firm, and we at Great Legal Marketing and Ben Glass, we've tested a lot of lead generation services as part of what we do. Not found a one that makes any sense whatsoever. So the next thing you need a CRM. You need, for all these leads that are coming in, you need a way to organize. And I'm baffled that some firms still don't have a marketing database, either something like yours, when you have that's attached to all of your website, something like Infusionsoft. But even if you have no mail, something to
Your
start
list.
to segregate your list and get that. You need your internet and your web presence has to be really well thought out, because when you and I started doing this, it wasn't really hard to get good placement and to even have a web, because a lot of firms didn't even have websites.
Right.
Now, not only do all the lawyers have websites, but all the non-lawyer tech companies like the Avos and the LegalZooms and everybody else in the world out there has websites, and they have more money than we do. All right. So you've got to perfect that web presence. And SEO is a hard thing to get to when you're just starting out with a new site, but you at least ought to build a website that causes someone, if they find you or if they get referred and they're checking you out, cause them to stay on the site for a little bit, right? So if all you're going to do, here we are in Washington, near Washington, D.C., if I would have a website that had a picture of the Capitol or Supreme Court or something, and my pretty picture in the front, it looks just like everybody else's. And we say, no, don't do that. It's got to be something interesting that causes them to stay around, all right? The other thing when we talk about web presences is looking at those other things, and you're a lot better with the technology terms than I am, but sort of what does it look like when they find you on the Google Places, or they find you over at Avo, or they find you at any of these other directory, that's a fancy, directories, so there, it's like Yellow Pages. How can I show up differently? How can I differentiate myself? And if someone clicks on that thing, what do they go and see? Most lawyers give no thought to that whatsoever. So working with a web developer who understands the marketing that we are trying to do. And the trick that most of these web developers are doing is they're building you a website your mama will be proud of. Awesome.
Right, there you go.
Awesome,
Yes.
right? And so many lawyers, they want the website that shows three guys walking down the stairs. It's like, okay, but you can do that, but that looks just like the other 700 websites that are in your town, right? So there's nothing differentiating there. So there's all sorts of technical side to websites that you guys are really good at, like how fast it loads and how the video integrates and all that stuff, which I used to play with, but now I have teams and you guys that do all that stuff for me, so I don't need to do that. The next thing we work on if you're at that still need to get there stage is your phones. Just answer the phones the right way and monitor the way the phones are answered. You have to be recording these calls. You have to be listening, or else you are pissing money away. And so we won't talk a lot about that, but I think most lawyers would be shocked, as we have been when we first, I'm sorry, Jim, I scratched the mic, as we first started doing this, but listening into your own calls to make sure that what you think is happening on your phones is actually happening, because everything we do is to make the phone ring ultimately. Even the internet stuff we do, TV, whatever, it's to make the phone ring.
Right.
And if balls are being dropped when the phone rings, then you're just pissing money away. And so it doesn't cost a lot. That's a training thing. That's training and enforcement of script and of culture to make sure that when someone does call, they're having a really good experience on that call. Because usually something crappy's happened in their life, right? And they don't call us to say, I won the lottery, how do I invest the money?
Right.
I've been arrested. My wife, I just found out, is going to divorce me.
Right.
Something crappy's going on. And a lot of firms leave that whole phone answering thing like to the receptionist or whoever can pick up the phone the fastest. Or, amazingly, some phones don't get answered. It's amazing. You call a lot of law firms, it rings off the hook, or goes to some 1980s style voicemail or something.
Can I tell you, just on that point, and I love that you talked about that, because it's not, it's so many people focus on the wrong thing, and something as simple as that. Even when we do call outs to websites, our clients' websites, like if I'm going to call a client, I'll usually call their main number that's right on the website that they put there, and nobody answers the damn phone.
Right.
Or I go to some call answering machine that I know is not the firm. They don't care. And I'm like, I'm just a marketing guy.
That's crazy.
But if I'm somebody that was injured or was you want somebody that's going to take care of you.
Right.
That's why people are calling a lawyer. It's hard enough to call a lawyer anyway, but they're like, I got to call a lawyer because this person's going to make my pain go away. And if they don't feel that right away, they're going to leave.
And to a certain level, you can outsource that too. Right?
Yeah, but you still have to train, though.
You have to train and you have to monitor. You absolutely have to. So I said we weren't going to talk a lot about the phones, but now we just talked a lot about the phones.
Well, you spend all the money on the marketing, you spend all the money on the website, you spend all the money on the lead gen, you did all the pay-per-click, you finally got them there, they pick up the phone and call you, and you don't even answer the damn phone.
Right, or you answer it losses.
Right, you're right. And here's another one that I get. If they call, I'm closing the deal. That's another one that I get all the time. Well, they're not even getting to you. Yeah. They're not even getting to you because they haven't gotten past the cheap receptionist that you hired and didn't train.
Right, exactly right.
And
Next thing you can do,
Sadly.
if you're that still I need more leads, is the whole online review world is still very important. It will remain. My prediction is for lawyers, it'll remain.
What do you mean online reviews?
Highly
like Google
important.
reviews and all that?
Google reviews,
Yeah,
Avo
Avo,
reviews, all that stuff. Even as in a lot of other industries now, reviews are suspect because people get paid to review products and stuff. There's a lot of review scam out there. It's going to take longer for that to get into the lawyer world, but people want to know what other people say about you, and
It's the socialization of it.
they'll trust what they see on Avo or Google more than the testimonials you have on your own website because you've hand selected those. And we have, we're closing in on, for me, closing in on 100 consumer reviews. We have more than 100 attorney endorsements. I talked to Avo, one of the top firms in the country on this, in that dual bit. But so having systems in place, not only to get reviews, but then to drive prospects to go look at the reviews. Because if that's not part of the marketing funnel somehow, then you have asset over here, good reviews, but they're not being utilized to their max. So it's all these little things. The stuff we're talking about is not like huge marketing spends. It's like taking the stuff you should be doing and just making sure it's operating correctly. And the number one secret, by the way, to getting reviews, do you want to know?
Yes.
Ask for them. You don't need to leave this up to like random chance that they're going to go.
You don't need
online
to trick. You don't need to go.
Yeah, ask
all
for
your attorney
reviews.
buddies.
Ask for feedback. Have your team ask for feedback. Every single call,
Yes.
by the way. Every call that you have a good conversation with somebody.
And I bet you have a system for that.
Well, we have a system. I mean, Great Legal Marketing actually can sell a system that will help do this.
Yes.
I frankly think that you don't necessarily. I'm sorry, Joe, but you don't necessarily need this thing if you have culture, firm culture. We talked about people, culture, who are asking, and internal systems set up to do this. And
Back to what you had said in the very beginning, like the guys that's just getting started or the guy that's looking for leads and all that. And, there's an important thing to talk about there is because the referral is still the best client.
we're going to talk. Yes, absolutely.
The referral's the
Yes.
best client, and referral comes by name. And it's not like, no, you should go work with VirginiaPersonalInjuryLawyer.com. Or go do that search. No, people say, no, you need to talk to Ben Glass. He's great. Or call, Ben Glass Law. Or they use the brand, they use the name. Yeah. And so what we all do, is we go to the web. Yes. And we type in the name. Okay? That's what we type in. Number one focus should be that. And to what you were saying too, it's not, okay, sure, the website's going to come up. But it's really what everybody else is saying about you that they're looking at. They might, that's certainly what I do. I'm looking at what everybody else says. What does Yelp say? What does Avo say? What does Google say about you? What are other people saying? Facebook. Wherever I go to look for those endorsements, that's where you need to be, right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
SEO is later.
SEO is
that's
it's much more difficult.
Step, right?
It's much more difficult. We have a mature site because we've been working with you since before Foster Web Marketing, I think, was born.
Yes.
So, and there's only a couple of positions, on the first page of Google. SEO is important. It's important, but think about this. So in an elite practice, 70 or 75% of revenue comes from your own list. So it comes from referrals somehow. Now, that person might call you. They might go visit the website. They might ask somebody else. There's a lot of omni-channel searching they'll do, but the genesis of the search is they got a referral. So we need to spend 70% of our time, energy, and money in perfecting what happens once someone initiates that confirmation. Once they've gotten the referral, now they're going to check you out. We need to get that perfect, and we need to spend the time, energy, and money into that process. But referrals is, you said, it's a number one way. It's literally free Okay, and so
And they're
developing
usually the best client. They're the best cases.
Yes, and so developing systems inside your office for getting referrals from other lawyers, from other professionals, from other small business owners, and from your herd, the consumers who know you. And each one of those is a different thing, and it takes work. We get back to the whole work aspect of it. But lawyers, it's amazing to me, Tom. They want to go spend all this money to buy a new lead from somebody, and like, show me your referral letter. Show me what you do every single month for those people you know are referring to you already. Is it a really great experience when someone makes a referral? Is it a big frigging deal in your office? Does the person who made the referral know that this is a big deal? Are you rewarding them ethically? But there's a lot of things you can do to make a big deal. Even if say thank you.
Thank you
Pick up the phone. Say thank you.
Thanks.
Not an email, by the way. Pen, paper, note card. Boom, boom, boom. They're getting your newsletter. They're getting your magazine, stuff like that. Anyway, so again, we look at lawyers' practices and go, show me your referral system. Well, I think I get some referrals. Well, who referred in 2017? Well, I'm not really sure. It's free. It's free to create a system.
It truly is, and it is so much easier to grow your business, to grow your practice by focusing on referrals. And that's why you should start with that as an exercise, is your list, because that's your retirement. Johnny Cochran died a long time ago, right? Why is Johnny Cochran still around? Because he's got a great list, or that's what it started with. It was a great brand. And that's how you build your list. You've got to stay on that. And that's what you've always done. And like going and like worrying about being on page one or pay-per-click and all that stuff, those are more advanced marketing tools. But a lot of people jump right in and do pay-per-click, and a lot of them jump right in and focus on it.
Because they don't have these other systems in place.
Right, and that's what they're told to do.
Because the guy selling it to you is getting a commission, right? Not because it's the right thing to do, right? So we spend a lot of time, energy, and money at Ben Glass Law, just in the whole newsletter deal. So every month, 6-page newsletter goes out, has my voice in it, I've got writers for other
and it's gotten a lot better. Wasn't always good.
It's gotten a lot better. Colin Lynch writes most of it.
It's really good.
And the most popular thing, it's weird, but it still is a recipe thing, right? So our staff contributes recipes. These are real recipes from their kitchens.
People like people.
They do, and people like if your newsletter is being written correctly is if you get letters to the editor, and we do. I agree with you. I don't agree with you. Okay, you read it. Yeah, I know that my newsletter gets put up on refrigerators and it gets passed along to kids. So a lot of stuff I'm writing for the parent to teach the kid. How to get better grades at school, how to be a better athlete, how to overcome adversity, how to be successful. Parents love that stuff. They love it. And so now I'm known for something other than, hey, I'm a pretty decent lawyer. So again,
there's so many examples of that over the years that you've done, like the referee stuff, and part of that is an attachment to your passion, which is another thing that I talk to guys about a lot. It's like, what do you like to do? Like, what do you do for fun? Think about that, because a lot of them they have so much head trash about being a lawyer that they push that aside. It's like,
people don't care.
People love it. Like, look at what Jim Dotson has done with his, because he's a biker.
The whole biking.
And he's really integrated that into his practice. You and your reffing, right? How you've integrated that in your stories. People relate to that. People are like, oh, I didn't know Ben was a great
We're doing
soccer
something
player.
cool, and I'm not going to tell you all about it right now, but we're doing a cool thing that we think will get national publicity in end of February, and it has to do with refereeing. So,
good.
Wait till
Well,
I'll tell you about it off camera.
I mean,
all right.
That's good stuff.
So real quick, we finish. So continuing on with our discussion, we're talking about getting now people to call you, right? At the end of the day, and lawyers the good ones who are thinking about this are now working on their follow-up systems. So that's partly automated, that's partly human. Lawyers need to get over the thinking that if they don't hire me today, they went and hired somebody else. It's not true, all right? It's not true in every case. In our practice, anywhere from 6 to 12 months after the initial contact, they're signing fee agreements. So they're seriously injured people. They're not signing up with other lawyers. They're getting better. So having an automated, I believe largely automated follow-up system that is specific to their case. So now we get complicated, right? So if you called about a personal injury case, you're going to see the personal injury sequence. You may see the car accident sequence. You may see the medical malpractice sequence. You may see the long-term disability sequence, but you're going to see something that is particular to the reason why you raise your hand. Systems
and the devil's in the details on that, and a lot of people try to like fudge it, and a lot of people just try to like phone it in, and it doesn't work, and they're like, oh, I did that, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work, right? It doesn't work. I don't know any law firm that follow-up system's done well work. I mean, it's crazy.
But I mean, we did a podcast about that case that you settled or went to court, 1.8 million on that MedMal gallbladder botch thing, which is exactly this proof of this working. I talk about that all the time. People bring it up to me.
Well, and the cool thing is, so every morning I wake up and I have all these notifications that people came to the website and downloaded stuff. So that's all working, and the follow-up system is all working while we sleep.
Right. You're not like answering, like call me any 24 hours a day.
Right,
Here's
we're
my
not
cell
chasing
phone.
them. Right. So automated, today ours is very complex. Most lawyers have nothing, so you want to get to somewhere between nothing and complex, but you got to at least start, right? And today there's all sorts of software. Your CRM is very cool. Again, Infusionsoft, but even simpler things.
MailChimp,
can work.
Constant,
Do
anything.
something.
Yes.
Do something. Believe in the follow-up. And the last thing, and then I think we can end with this, really is this whole building and nurturing the herd. So having Kevin Kelly has a thing on the internet called 1,000 True Fans. Tim Ferriss writes about it in Tools of Titans, so you ought to be reading that book and go check this thing down. It doesn't matter your business. If you have 1,000 true fans who will evangelize for you, whether you're selling a song, record albums, flowers, or legal services or web services, you don't need any advertising, right? So you need that tribe of people who will advocate, who will refer, who will tell stories about you, your firm, and even if they don't remember exactly what you do, see, they know Ben Glass is a trusted place to go if I have a legal problem, all right? And so let's at least start by calling Ben. He'll know what to do. And you don't get there by bragging about how good you are. You get there by cultivating this herd, tribe of evangelists who go and do that for you. Right? So whether it's online reviews, whether it's people who just get the newsletter and pass it on, things like that. So growing that tribe. Look, Tom, all this stuff takes work. All right? We talk about this over and over. There is no magic bullet. I can, even if I had a really, really, really big credit card, and I do, but if I just gave it to you, I can't buy what you and I have just talked about here for 11 or 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I don't want to over pitch, but what I'm saying is that you've already fixed a lot of these ails for people, having been through it yourself. And that's the point of great legal marketing.
Yes.
Right? I mean, like when you and I met, we were struggling with a lot of things. Like, we were wanting to grow our businesses. You were further along. You had your law firm. I was still working for somebody else, but I was trying to grow a business. And that's kind of how we talked about it. And it's no different. I mean, when business, just because you're a lawyer, it's no different than if you're selling hamburgers. You still got to get your list and you still got to sell your stuff. And it's just interesting how far you've come. Well, both of us, and the systems that we've put in place, and like looking back at what we once did and chuckling about it. But the point is that, like Charlie Hoffheimer always says, is like, you don't want to walk through the minefield, the first guy through the minefield. You want to follow somebody. And the best thing that I tell people is follow Ben. You're a genuine guy, you're an authentic guy. You'll tell them like it is, and they like it or not. And that's another thing that's really cool, is that. You don't want to bullshit. I mean, like, you've got to be who you are, and you have always been who you are, and you either like it or not. And that's another reason why getting that herd of people.
Yeah. I mean, we do I genuinely care about helping people improve their lives. I genuinely care about the profession and about really the lack of resources that the established bar is providing, particularly to young lawyers. They're leaving the solo and small lawyer behind. They don't really care about them, in my view. We are the place for that. I've got a great law practice. I don't really have to run great legal marketing. It's really fun. I love getting on stage. I love doing stuff like this a lot. But I don't have to run that. Not some of these other gurus out there, that is their only business. And we're making a real impact. So in 2018, and we'll just kind of close with this, we're bringing both operations under one roof. 8,700 square feet in Fairfax County. We'll have a training center there. And in addition to doing our traditional sort of great legal marketing, some of our small group stuff, but we're really going to make an impact on the local young lawyer market and really create a place where they can come to learn the stuff that they won't teach you in law school, they won't teach you at the local county bar meeting, and that is how to build a profitable business. You're good at immigration law, you're good at family law, whatever it is, we're going to be that secret ingredient.
It's
really,
like the university.
and a place to be. You come to us, and we're going to make huge inroads there, and that's the impact that I want to leave on the profession. So when I get to the end, this is what Ben Glass has done. He has changed lives nationally. We've got international members, but also he's made it. So many young lawyers live lives of abject misery. If you talk to them, they're working for assholes, or they're in their own practices and they're really struggling. So we want to change that. And I've got a great team that we've built that's, again, fully aligned culturally with the vision that we have. We're always searching for that next great team member to do that. And it's going to be really fun. And I wake up every morning excited about the stuff that I do and the people that come into my life, the fun I have with my family, watching them all grow and get a little older and move out. So I'm blessed. I'm very blessed with that.
You've impacted a lot of people, Ben Glass, including me. I mean, like, you're one of my very dearest friends, and I know I talk to people every day that have been impacted by you, and just you helping and genuinely helping people get better. So, brother, thank you so much again for spending time with us. I think this is about a 2-hour webinar, but I think it's well worth it. And if anybody would like to get, you can get better. You can always change. It's your choice. And so if you want to learn how to do stuff that works, that's proven, then talk to Ben. If you like that flavor, you
go get the book. Go get Renegade Lawyer Marketing. If you've never seen anything that we do, go visit Great Legal Marketing. We've got cool stuff to download. You'll see how the marketing system works. Actually.
There you go. Okay, man. Hey, thanks everybody. We'll see you next month in our February webinar that I'm not sure what's about, so I'm gonna have to stick something in here later. But Ben,
yes, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, man.